Hey there, everybody. How are you? Welcome to this week's Peaceful Eating Live. I am about 10 minutes late because Facebook was not being my friend today. So here I am, finally. I was trying to do it a different way because I kept on feeling like my video and audio were off. So I was trying to do a different system and then Facebook blocked me and wouldn't let me do it. So here I am a little bit late. So if you were trying to get in, I do apologize. Okay, so this week we are talking about the number one reason you're holding on to extra weight and how to actually start releasing it for good. And for those of you who are new to my community, my name is Claire Ketchum, and I am on a mission to teach women how to stop abandoning their healthy eating goals over and over again and support them in creating what I call a peaceful eating blueprint that's actually sustainable so they can consistently stick to it and finally lose weight for good. And today's Peaceful Eating Live event is part of that mission. So if you know anybody else who is also on this journey and would benefit from being a part of this community, can you help me spread the word? Oh, I just kicked my computer and invite them to join us. And if you're here with me live, say hi. And if you're watching the replay, go ahead and write in hashtag replay in the comments to let me know you are here. You're probably all going to be watching the replay since I am 10 minutes late to my 12 o'clock live. Okay, so again, welcome. Today we are talking about the number one reason you're holding on to extra weight and how to start actually releasing it for good. So the difficulty that a lot of people run into is that we think that our extra weight is the real problem. And our extra weight is actually just a symptom of being stuck in the chronic stress loop. And so if you're not familiar, if you haven't watched my Be Consistent training, I go into depth about the chronic stress loop. But for those of you who haven't watched it, or just a quick overview, is you have some sort of a stressor in your life, and then your body's main goal is to have you in a relaxed state as quickly as possible, because that's when you can rest and repair your body. So it doesn't want to be in this stress state all the time. So what it does is it helps you get back to a relaxed state as quickly as possible. And we all have default ways of doing this. And so if you're here, it's likely one of yours is eating food or abandoning healthy eating goals. So what happens is you'll have some sort of subconscious thought that's based on a subconscious belief that is based on a prior life experience that causes you to abandon your healthy eating goals over and over and over again. And this is where we get stuck. And what happens, so sorry, my whole screen just went black. I have no idea what just happened. Okay, so that's sort of what happens. And when we don't address the root cause of our weight gain, no diet is actually sustainable because we haven't dealt with the reason why we're using food to soothe ourselves. But once we identify the root of our weight gain, and many of us have more than one, just to be clear, and it usually has nothing to do with food. Sometimes it has to do with dieting, but it doesn't necessarily have to do with the food that you're eating. Then really any diet can be sustainable. So when women come into the peaceful eating method, they often have a diet that they like, that has worked for them. And then through the process, they first begin to decide what they want to do and what they like. And then once they begin to uncover these subconscious beliefs that are at the root of their weight gain, that's when they are able to really create the peaceful eating plan that they want. And okay, so what does that look like? What would be examples of the root causes of our weight gain? So I've kind of put them into two different categories. The first category would be like a big trauma. So this is things like abuse, being neglected as a child, or maybe having like a really important person in your life die when you were very young. So those are obviously very, very traumatic events, and you need to do a lot of work to heal them. But when you start to realize that that's the root of why you use food to soothe yourself, that's when you get that freedom. And that's when, stick into your peaceful eating, because you're like, oh, that's just because of that. And you have the strategies to help release that, but you also have the strategies that are your triggers and you can help, fix those. And then you have things like little trauma, right? So that's maybe being excluded or getting ignored in elementary school, or maybe your parents put too much pressure on you to be perfect, or maybe you were put on a diet when you were 9. So these are examples of little trauma. So they're obviously not as big as being abused or neglected or having a loved one die, but it doesn't really matter. That's the thing that's so interesting about our subconscious mind. It doesn't matter if it's a little trauma or a big trauma. If it activates the stress response, then we are going to abandon our healthy eating goals and go back to our default habit, which is maybe eating the food, or maybe not exercising, or not taking good care of yourself, or not getting enough sleep, or whatever it is that causes you to put that weight on. It's different for everybody, right? So when you learn how to sort of get to the root of the real root of the subconscious beliefs, like, I've always been fat, or I'll never lose weight, or nothing works for me, so why bother, right? When you can get to the real reason why you have those thoughts and those beliefs, and you can start to unpack those, that's when the real transformation happens. So obviously we go into much, a lot greater detail in the Peaceful Eating Method about actually how to do this, but you can get started today, right? You don't need to do a 12-week program to really just start thinking about what might be at the root. So the first step would be to just brainstorm everything that you think could be at the root of your weight gain. And sometimes people don't realize that these little hurts or these big hurts are really the reason why we are holding onto our extra weight, and it has nothing to do with the food. So little has to do with the food. It's so much more how we are approaching things, right? So once you make this list and you brainstorm everything that could be at the root of your weight gain, then you need to just sort of pick one, right? So which one sort of like just use your intuition and think about, okay, if I'm looking at this list of things that could possibly be at the root of my weight gain or my inability to release weight, right? Which one sort of bubbles up to the surface, right? Which one seems to be the biggest one? Because you can't deal with everything at once, right? Like, it's impossible. You can't solve all of your problems in a 45-minute session or a 10-minute meditation, right? Like, that's obviously not going to happen. So you want to pick one, and then you want to pick something that's going to help you alleviate the stress that this event caused. And so that there's so many different ways to do that, but that's the basic plan. You identify the root, then you pick one event to work on first, and then you pick something to help alleviate that stressor. Now, that could be meditating, that could be doing the emotional freedom technique, that could be doing hypnosis, that could be exercising, right? It depends what it is, right? There's so many different ways to release stress and make ourselves get back to that relaxed state so that we stop using food or abandoning our healthy eating goals to soothe ourselves. I keep on hitting my desk. I hope that's not like really, really loud for you guys. Okay, so if you feel like, yeah, this sounds great and I get it in theory, but I don't really know what to do, right? I don't really know what my root is. I don't really know what strategy I could use to help me with this. I don't know what would work the best. Then the best thing that you can do is to book a Peaceful Eating Clarity call, because this is what we dive into, right? I help shine a light on what might be keeping you stuck, and then I give you some direction, like, okay, well, this is where you're stuck, and this is what you could do to start the process of breaking yourself out of this pattern and reaching your weight loss goals. Okay, so if you're interested in doing that, I'm going to pop a link to book a Peaceful Eating Clarity call with me. And if you know of anybody else who do you think would benefit from this training and would just be like, maybe this is just some big aha for you, and you're like, oh my gosh, I never thought of it this way. This is amazing, which is, I hope, what you're all thinking, right? Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Let me know, reach out, let me know how if you need any support along the way in figuring out what is at the root of why you are not releasing your extra weight. Okay, bye for now.